So you're thinking about making a move to the Boise, Idaho area, and you're really drawn to the small town Idaho feel. You want a little bit more of that rural lifestyle. You want the quiet. You don't want a lot of that hustle and bustle. Well, today I'm going to walk you through a few things that you may want to know before you make that decision. We're going to talk about some of the worst parts about living in Middleton, Idaho. So if you don't want to make any regrets when you're thinking about the place that you want to set up roots at next, go ahead and stay tuned because we're going to hop into it right now. What's up, guys? I'm Chase Dolan, and this is Living in Boise, where I show you what it's like to live, work, and play here in the Boise and greater Treasure Valley area. If this is your first time to the channel, go ahead, hit that subscribe button down below. That way you are the first to know everything that there is to know about the Boise, Idaho market. And whether you're making a move in 9 days or 9 months, I help people just like you make their move to the Boise, Idaho area as smooth as possible. I'm a local agent up here, so if there's any way that I can help, call, text, email, whatever it is, I would love to help. So all of my information is down in the description below, and you can even set up a Zoom directly on my calendar if you want to meet face to face. But let's go ahead and get started talking about some of the things that people don't love about living in Middleton, because I want to make sure we get ahead of the game a little bit. Nothing sucks more than having people move to our area wanting a certain thing, really believing that that is what they were looking for, only to figure out that it wasn't quite what they expected, and they end up moving just again a year or two afterwards. The whole goal with all of this is for us to find you that next dream home that will serve you for that next stage of life, whatever that is. I want to make sure if you decide to move in a quick fashion like that, there's some other reason happening. You don't want it to just be regret for the area that you set up in. And this happens all the time with people moving here from other cities on the West Coast, even people from the Midwest, Florida. People move up here and they really get fixated on small town Idaho. They really focus on the rural nature, everything they see on TV, they see in videos like this, they see in Yellowstone. They kind of equate that sort of lifestyle to that Idaho dream. And we see people get caught up into that a lot because, especially, let's think about it. If you're coming from a Portland or something where it's this massive town, you haven't liked the growth, you haven't liked the crime, anything to do with kind of that big city feel, you're going to want to correct because you're going to want to find pretty much the opposite, because if that didn't make you happy, it's only natural to think this is what's going to make me happy. And for a good portion of you, that is 100% going to be correct. You're going to move to somewhere like Middleton and you are going to fall in love. You're going to buy into the small town charm, and you're going to be one of those success stories when we talk about the people who did move and love the small town here in Idaho. But like I've said on the channel before, making a decision about where to live is all about looking at the pros, making sure you fall in love with a place, but knowing the cons so that you know that you can live with them. Because if there's a con that is an absolute deal breaker, doesn't matter how great it's going to be, you're not going to be happy. But first, let me give you a very quick rundown on Middleton, Idaho. So Middleton is a small town here in the Treasure Valley. It's located in the northwest portion of the greater Treasure Valley area here. It's just about 45 minutes to an hour out of downtown Boise. It currently has a population of just under 10,000 people, which makes it one of the smallest cities here in the Treasure Valley. But even with this small population still being a little bit of an unknown quantity to people who are moving here, or frankly, a lot of people who are already here. When you look at sites like niche.com or any of the forums, best places to live, etc., Middleton is consistently ranked up there with Meridian, Eagle as the top areas to live here in the Treasure Valley. Currently, at the time of making this, it was listed as the number 3 best suburb to live in the entire state of Idaho. It was the number 3 best suburb in the Boise area for your family. When looking at crime statistics, it's one of the safest places. And I could go on and on. It is ranked highly pretty much all throughout. But there are going to be some, again, when you look at niche.com, you can look at kind of the reviews down at the bottom. Some people don't love living in Middleton for a few of the reasons that we're going to talk about here in a second. Whenever I make videos like this, I do a ton of research to make sure that I'm bringing in different perspectives so that it's not just me spewing my opinions at you. I want to make sure that you're making an informed decision. And this comes through, obviously, my own personal experience. It comes through my friends and family, past clients who have lived in the area, as well as we look at a lot of the forums, the niche.coms, everything like that to get third-party looks. But throughout all of these, one of the big things that people talk about, even if they love Middleton, but they're like, if I could change something, this would be it, is Middleton is pretty far from anything that you want to do. Whether we're talking about restaurant options, shopping centers, we're talking about hospitals. Overall, Middleton itself is an extremely small town that doesn't have a lot of these different options inside of the city. So this just means that you're going to have to commute out to Caldwell, to Nampa and Karcher Road. You're going to have to go to Star and Meridian. It just brings a different factor of knowing, hey, I'm quite a few miles away from everywhere that I need to go, and it's just going to take a little bit of time to run those errands. The proximity and the convenience that comes with that is not a reason why you should be looking at Middleton, Idaho. But of course, because I have to give you the pro side of all of this, there's a flip side to every single one of these points. This is still a reason why people are drawn to the area. They know that they're not going to have all these different services and such, but without the big hospitals, without all of the different dining options, Saturday morning, if you want to go out to breakfast, there might only be 1 or 2 options, but you're not going to have to sit in 30 minutes of traffic. You're not going to have a 25-minute wait just to sit down. It's a very different atmosphere. So if you're okay with the limited options, Middleton could still be good for you. Outside of the options and a little bit of the distance that you have to travel, in Middleton itself, you're going to notice that there's quite a bit of traffic and commutes are going to be pretty long. Part of what has allowed Middleton to keep this small town charm in a valley like ours that has been growing so fast is that the way that it's been developed and the people that are in charge of it out there, they've been pretty resistant to development and not wanting to grow too fast. And there are some great aspects to this, but one of the things that has been a real struggle out here, and we hear it from people living there all the time, is there still only 2 ways to get in and out of Middleton. And I don't have to tell you, even with a town of just 10,000 people, when you only have 2 ways to get in and out of your city, you're gonna have a little bit of a backup just because, again, traffic has to go somewhere. And if you're gonna have to be commuting to these different cities for your job, to go to the hospital, restaurant, shopping, everything that we already listed, you're gonna have people coming and going pretty frequently, which has led to some increased traffic in the Middleton area in particular. And I kind of glossed over it a little bit, but be prepared when you're looking to where you're going to relocate here in the valley. Make sure you're looking at where you're probably going to be located for your job, because Middleton, being the really small town that it is, doesn't have a ton of jobs inside of the city. If you're looking for a big corporate headquarters, if you're looking for anything like that, different financial services, whatever it is, you're probably going to be in one of the other towns around our valley. And we are still a pretty close proximity valley where you're going to be, again, 45 minutes to an hour from downtown. But that isn't super inconvenient if you're only going down once a month, once every few months, maybe never. If you're going down every single day for your job, that is going to get super tiring because that is about as far of a commute as you can have here in the Treasure Valley. And now rolling it back a little bit to what I was talking about of not having a ton of options, that's going to be our next big thing that people talk about when they aren't super thrilled about Middleton, Idaho, is there is not a ton of things to go out and do, and there is absolutely no nightlife. So depending on what you and your family like to do, where you're at in your life, whatever your interests may be, if you want different options of things to go out and do, you want the axe throwing, you want the putt-putt, you want to have access to a Topgolf, you want to go out to a bar, sporting events, whatever it is, Middleton isn't going to be the hub of most of those. Now, you're going to have a lot of good access to it in Star, Meridian. Caldwell is just about 10 to 15 minutes from Middleton, so you're not going to be completely separated. But again, it's all about that convenience and proximity. So if you're looking for that new, fresh thing to always go out, trying something new, that's not going to be the pro of Middleton. And again, this is another one of those things that on the flip side of this is what draws people to this town. A lot of people don't want to live somewhere that has a really buzzing nightlife. They like things to be quiet. They like to be able to see the stars, all of that. Middleton's going to be great for that, but you just have to have the right expectations going in. And I don't want to make it seem like there's absolutely nothing to do in Middleton. If you're into the outdoors, if you want to go out to wine country out in Caldwell, or you're really into the farm life and you like to see farm animals, you like to go to the flower picking farms, whatever it is, there's gonna be things in Middleton, but it is very much that small town atmosphere. So if you're looking for those big city amenities, the things to go out and try and do, I'm just telling you, Middleton isn't going to have that for you, and it probably won't for the foreseeable future because that's what makes Middleton so great. And wrapping into the final thing that we're going to talk about, this is one of the biggest pros on the good things to live about Middleton, Idaho, but it does come with a little bit of cons when talking to certain people, especially depending on where you come from, as far as the big cities, how many people were there, being able to put your AirPods in and really just walk through the grocery store, not to talk to anyone. Middleton is an extremely small, tight-knit community where people tend to know everything that is going on. So if you want to have a little bit more privacy, you don't really care about getting to know every single person in the town. You want to be able to go out and not run into 10 people that you know, work with, whatever, at the same diner every single weekend. If you like to have a little bit more of that anonymity in the way that you kind of operate in your personal life, Middleton may be a little bit of a struggle, because something that we saw, especially on the niche.com kind of reviews and such, is people really talked about everybody knows everything here in Middleton. So if you're looking to build a community and have that sort of really tight neighbor, you want to grow with the people around you, Middleton could be really great. But if you're coming from a place like Los Angeles, for example, where you could walk through downtown and not see one person you know for the next 3 weeks, that's not going to be Middleton. You're going to see the same people at the grocery store. You're going to have to get to know them. You're going to actually have to talk to them. All of these different things. But you just have to look at what you're used to, what's going to feel like a big culture shock, and then what do you value in your social scene. As we look at some of these cons of living in Middleton, Idaho, obviously there is a flip side to all of them. I talked about a little bit when we're talking about the things to do, the hustle and bustle. This could be a negative for a lot of people, but it could be a pro for a lot of people as well. This video isn't about that. I just want to give you the straight truth about some of the things that have come up with clients, looking online, doing some of that research, that people here in the Middleton, Idaho area, it's highly ranked. People love it. It's not perfect for everyone. When we're talking about small town Idaho, it can be a little bit of a culture shock depending on where you're coming from, especially if it's one of those bigger cities. And that's okay. I just want to make sure you have the right expectations so that you don't readjust to what you're looking for too far and overcorrect, and then you end up regretting it a little bit down the road. The really cool thing about our Treasure Valley, and when we talk about small town Idaho, and I'm comparing it to Boise and Meridian, our big cities here are not big cities. So even moving from, let's say, a Los Angeles, if you want that small town Idaho feel, instead of going completely to Middleton and wanting 10,000 people and nobody to ever talk to you and you have your life to kind of live, there might be a little bit more of a middle ground that can kind of ease you into it. But on the whole, I hope that you can start to realize through this video or the one about the best things in Middleton, this is a town that can really give a cool mix of all of the different niche components that some people are really looking for when they're moving to Idaho. Now, if you have any questions or you think that I missed something, there's something about Middleton, you've lived there for the past 10 years, whatever it is that you absolutely despise, go ahead, drop a comment below. I want to hear from you so that we can continue this conversation. And then of course, if you have a question about any of these and you're trying to figure out if you could live with some of these cons, all of my information is down below. Call, text, email, set up a Zoom, whatever works best for you. I would love to connect and figure out how we can make your move to Middleton or the surrounding area as smooth as possible. But until then, I hope you learned something about Middleton, and I will see you all on the next one.